Well, hello there, my naked friends. My name is Chris, and welcome back to Mudwalkers. As naturists, one of the most frequent insults that we get, and I do think it's an insult, is that we're all just perverts. Hit it! Now, to me, someone who's been involved in naturism for almost a decade, and who's been studying it for much longer than that, I'll say this insult falls completely flat to me. I actually find it quite funny.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
But people say it, so we're going to talk about it. Many textiles honestly believe that if you were to take this group of honest, law-abiding, sane, normal, church-going families, with the husbands and the wives and all the kiddos, you just put them all in a naturist resort and then everyone takes all their clothes off, that the entire group is going to turn into this giant roiling mass of licking mouths and groping hands. It's hard for me to even take that seriously, but that's kind of an exaggerated, humorous way of looking at what they think would actually go on if everyone took their clothes off. So that's what they think. But why?
Why? Why? Why? Why? Why?
Why do they think this? Okay, well, first of all, and, on a sort of PC level, it's the culture that they've been brought up in. It's all that they know. It's what they were taught. It's the air they breathe, the water in which they swim. They honestly believe that we need clothing to maintain order, peace, order, and chastity. Just like the way we put gun-free zone signs on schools to keep crazy people from shooting at them. Because that clearly works. So this whole clothes are protective against giant, sweaty piles of people, it's an inaccurate belief, it's misguided, but they do believe it. The non-PC answer is that many of these Christian textiles, particularly the men, believe themselves to be the people that clothes are protecting you from. Think about that for a second. By contrast, naturists just kind of live their lives and hang out, whether they have clothes on or not. To us naturists, a naked person is just what people look like. It's just what humans look like. When you see a naked person, what you're just seeing is just a human being. It's almost like naked means human.
Write that down, write that down!
So when we see naked bodies as naturists, we don't have these extreme reactions that textiles think that we do. We interact quite normally. In fact, we interact better than normal. Check out this video for a longer discussion of that phenomenon. Patreon time. This episode of Mudwalkers has been brought to you by Patreon. These guys are my patrons. They're making the channel happen. They're keeping my work sustainable. Guys, I cannot thank you enough for everything you're doing over on Patreon. Your support really is making the channel possible. You're making happen all the stuff that I get to do, including the World Naked Bike Rides, the resort tours, which you can view exclusively on Patreon, by the way, starting at the Mudwalker tier and above. All the tiers get early access to all my mainline content, videos like this one. But like I said, at the Mudwalker tier, you also get access to Patreon exclusive content like cooking videos, travel vlogs, resort tours, World Naked Bike Rides, and more. The website, also important, nakedmeanshuman.com, catchy phrase. But there's a newsletter on the website where you get access to me and my content, even if YouTube deletes my channel without notice. Again, so there's the website. Patreon is really making my work possible. Every dollar counts. If you believe this message is worth supporting, by all means, please click the link in the description down below and support Mudwalkers. There will also be a link tree in the description down below where you can find all my important social media if you'd like to get in touch or just follow what I do elsewhere. With that, I'll be rambling if I keep going. Let's get back into the video. Let's say a naturist was meeting with his pastor. The pastor says, "Listen, naturist, you can't be around all these naked people. You'll be overcome with feelings of lust from deep inside, and you will sin in your mind and your heart thing. These sinful thoughts will tempt you to sin outwardly, not just inwardly." The naturist replies, "But I'm not tempted that way. Neither are any of the naturists that I know or any naturist I've ever heard of. It just doesn't happen to us. The naked body is just what people look like. Naked means human." So y'all are in the middle of having this conversation, right? When suddenly, at the door, without even a knock, the doorknob turns, the door opens, and through the door walks a little family. A mom, a dad, 2 sons, and 2 daughters. All naked. The pastor then has his reaction, and the naturist has his reaction. The naturist just looks everyone in the eye, says hello, and, basically says, "Hey, we're having a meeting. I know that there wasn't like a sign on the door or something, but I think you guys are looking for a different room. Maybe a couple doors down the hallway, maybe the cafeteria at the end of the hallway might be what you were looking for, but we have a meeting going on." Eye contact, friendly, normal interaction, turns back to the pastor with a smile. Meanwhile, the pastor breaks out in a cold sweat. His eyes uncontrollably wander over the unclothed human forms before his eyes. He's overcome with terrible lustful thoughts and temptations. So he shuts his eyes, buries his face in his hands to shield them from what lies within him. So, my dear viewer, I just have one question for you. Who's the real pervert here again? Food for thought. In case it's not clear, what I'm talking about is, if this hypothetical pastor person has these naked people walk into his office, he's going to perceive that as a sexual experience and experience serious sexual temptation, or at least he believes he will. Meanwhile, the naturist person, man or woman, well, let's say man in this case, for extra punch, because that's supposed to be the biggest temptation in naturism, right, is the men, because men are visual, apparently. The pastor has that whole sexual experience. The naturist just sees people. To him, this is an unremarkable social interaction. Hi. Yeah, next door, sorry. It's all good. You're fine, don't worry about it. Anyway, where were we? The pastor's going to be traumatized because of what he perceives in himself as an evil, wicked man. He perceives himself as wicked. I'm not calling him wicked, but he perceives himself that way based on his reaction to what he sees, or what he believes his reaction will be based on what he sees. So, how is being a naturist making you a pervert when it makes nakedness unremarkable and not tempting? We just can interact normally with naked people, regardless of their age or gender. So that's the perversion, but not whenever you see just the image of God before your eyes. Your first reaction, your knee-jerk reaction, is intense sexual lust, sitting in your head and heart. So which one is the pervert here? Because it seems like the person who just reacts normally without this overwhelming temptation. The person who reacts normally seems like the sane person, the person who has the head screwed on straight with this, and the person who's experiencing this strong sexual temptation is the one that we should be worried about, morally speaking, as being the pervert. So, if I saw a naked person, it would be unremarkable to me, wave hello, go back to my day. You see a naked person, intense sexual urges, and temptation, such that you feel like you have to remove yourself from the situation before you do something you'll regret. But the naturist is the pervert. I don't get it. Food for thought. But seriously, it's a serious question. Mumbler. Mumble, you mumble.
That's mean. He's deprecating himself. You shouldn't do that.
Well, I mean, unless it's funny.